Our first reading is from Revelation chapter 5, verses 1 through 13. Then I saw in the right hand of the one seated on the throne a scroll written on the inside and on the back, sealed with 7 seals, and I saw a mighty angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals?" And no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look into it. And I began to weep bitterly because no one was found worthy to open the scroll or to look into it. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has conquered, so that he can open the scroll and its 7 seals." Then I saw between the throne and the 4 living creatures and among the elders a lamb standing as if it had been slaughtered, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. He went and took the scroll from the right hand of the one who was seated on the throne. When he had taken the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell before the Lamb, each holding a harp and golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. They sing a new song. "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, for you were slaughtered, and by your blood you ransomed for God saints from every tribe and language and people and nation. You have made them to be a kingdom and priests serving our God, and they will reign on earth." Then I looked, and I heard the voice of many angels surrounding the throne and the living creatures and the elders. They numbered myriads of myriads and thousands of thousands, singing with full voice, "Worthy is the Lamb that was slaughtered to receive power and wealth and wisdom and might and honor and glory and blessing." Then I heard every creature in heaven and on earth and under the earth and in the sea and all that is in them singing, "To the one seated on the throne and to the Lamb be blessing and honor and glory and might forever and ever." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
I invite you to stand for the reading of the gospel from John, the 4th chapter. The Samaritan woman said to Jesus, "Sir, I see that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain, but I say that the place where people must worship is in Jerusalem." Jesus said to her, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will worship the Father neither on the mountain nor in Jerusalem. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. But the hour is coming, and is now here, when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father seeks such as these to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth." The gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. You may be seated. I leave for a week, and the stand disappears. I got one here. Thank you. Good morning. So glad that you are here in worship, and good to be back. I am indebted to Pastor Susan and to Andrea for giving the messages the past couple of weeks and stepping off in the directions that they were going. We're walking through the book of Revelation, and I was so excited when I heard Susan survey the people who were in worship that day, and she asked, do you not like Revelations? Are you excited about Revelations? Somewhere in between. And I guess I couldn't see the crowd. She said she was surprised that most of you were excited about the book of Revelation. And I hope in this series you're even more excited at the end for what it tells us as followers of Jesus. I was away on our mission trip doing some home repairs with a bunch of our students and some other adults, and we were enjoying not only creating relationships between the homeowners, the Good Neighbor staff, the local community, but also with one another and with God. As one student said during the closing worship, this was the most important thing I did all summer. These trips are the most important things that I can do as a pastor. Studies have indicated that 92% of Christians began to follow Jesus at the age of 18 or under. Andrea said this was one of the longest mission trips she's ever heard of. He was gone last Sunday, he's gone this Sunday, she said. It was 9 days. I've done mission trips of over 15 days, but for the sake of the adults who go on these trips, 9 days is perfect because you have the weekend before, the weekend after, and just 1 week of work so that you're only missing a week's vacation or only missing 1 week's worth of wages. And that's the cost that these adults give so that they can participate in this mission trip. These trips would not happen without such adults. I'm grateful to Ann Toby and to Ian Newby, who's right over here, who gave up their weeks to spend time not only sharing the gospel, but their very lives with our students and the people of Kentucky. And so, thank you, Ian. I appreciate you. And applause to Ann as well. And because you just went through that whole thing, you're like, I'm done with mission trips, right? Both of them are like, and next year, so be ready. They can be contagious. You'll want to continue to go and go and go. What we are doing over these next 6 weeks is hearing John share the revelation of what was, is, and is to come. Susan did a wonderful job introducing Revelations. I, too, like her, was surprised that you were excited to hear about it. And there's lots of imagery in Revelations that she talked about. And the popular understanding is that it is an end-time apocalyptic prediction. You know, they have been saying that since the book was written. Every generation since, oh, well, this is the end. This is the end time. This is the end time. I hear it today. People go, well, we know that this is the end time. That's partially true because any time after Jesus was the end time. But is it the ultimate end time? As I read the scriptures, there's more to it than just an end time. It's important to note that the book was not written to us, but to a specific community at a specific time. The book is written to the 7 churches who are struggling at this time. Jesus is gone, persecution has increased, and people are afraid. It's important to remember as we read it, it is being said specifically to those churches. We can glimmer truth from it, but it's for them. As I read commentaries and articles preparing for what I might share, I had my previous understandings dismantled and shown a new truth. In the sermon, in our message today, we will be reminded of our role to be followers of Jesus, to strive to live as Jesus has done, while simultaneously not doing that which only Jesus can do. And last but not least, how to worship fully in spirit and truth. Now, we jumped to chapter 5, but we jumped over chapter 3. And that's probably one of the most familiar verses in all the Bible where it says, "Behold, I stand at the door and I knock." Could I see the next slide, please? How many of you have seen one or both of these paintings before? And were you told the same interpretation that I was told? That I stand at the door and I knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him and will dine with him, and he will be with me. Revelation 3:20. The left picture is Del Parsons, Jesus at the door. The right picture is William Holman Hunt's, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." The interpretation I was told is that Jesus is knocking on our metaphorical doors, trying to get us to open our hearts. Many used it to try and evangelize those people. Are you going to open the door to Jesus? You notice on the left, there's no door handle, only can be opened from the inside. And so there's this fear component of, am I opening my heart? But remember, this is written to churches at that time, in that place. As Susan pointed out in the first week, the book of Revelations, this verse is directed to them And this specific line is to the seventh church that John speaks to, Laodicea. John writes that as we understand this text, we have to look at its contextual context, that it's written to these churches, not specifically to us. And it says, starting at verse 15, I know your deeds. This is Jesus speaking to the church of Laodicea. You are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were either one of the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am about to spit you out of my mouth. You say I am rich. I acquired wealth and do not need a thing. But you do not realize that you are wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire so you can become rich, and white clothes to wear so you can cover your shameful nakedness, and salve to put on your eyes so you can see. Those whom I love I rebuke and discipline, so be earnest and repent. He is talking about Christians who are Christians by name only. It's a sad reality of the church at Laodicea. It is the sad reality of our church, Christians today, where we are not fully engaged in the faith that Jesus calls us to. The words Jesus opened the door addresses Christians who seem to think that because they have everything they need in life, they're blessed. We don't need anything else. Next slide, please. I believe that this is a more accurate picture of that verse. Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. And what are they doing? That's the church of Laodicea holding the door shut. Don't let him in. He's going to change everything. And that is exactly what God in Christ wants for all of us and all creation. Jesus wants them to not only welcome him in, but also step out in faith. Jesus said over 20 times, follow me. Believing in Jesus and attending worship is only part of being a Christian. Imagine a car without an engine. It's going nowhere. But you get someone to keep the background scenery moving so it feels like you are. That is what church can be like. That we come here, things move around up front, and we think, no, we're doing everything right. But there's more. Andrea helped make the connection of the Gospel of John and Revelation. The goal of John is to help people believe in the good news of Jesus and challenge them to live it. John 13:15 says, Jesus tells his disciples, I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Did Jesus just sit in the temple? No, he went out. Back to our gospel reading today, as we heard Andrea share a good background for us. We have Jesus' encounter with the Samaritan woman. That in itself, as she said, is scandalous. Jesus, a Jew, is not to associate with a Samaritan, and more so, also not a woman. Furthermore, she has a checkered past, one that a Jew should, if he's being righteous, should distance himself from or even condemn her. Jesus does neither. He sits with her. They have a conversation. Her metaphorical door of her heart is now being opened to him. But she doesn't stay there. Jesus shares this invitation with her. The hour is coming, and is now here, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father seeks as these to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. And what did she do right after she heard Jesus' message? She ran back to the village and told everyone, look, I have met the Messiah. Come and see if this could be him. She was worshiping in spirit and in truth. Spirit is believing in God. Truth is living it out. The question to answer with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength is, do you walk the talk? Loving God and your neighbor as you love yourself. Here at St. Luke's, we lift up 6 core values, helping us not only open the door, but to go out and share the good news of Jesus. Do you know the 6 core values? Service, worship, evangelism, community, stewardship, and discipleship. We have a mnemonic so you can remember it. Simply what every church should do. I'm going to give you an assignment. Take out a welcome card. Take out a pencil or a pen that you can find in that welcome card. If there's more than one person sitting in a space, reach across, reach behind, grab a welcome card. Andy, maybe get 3 for the group that's over there. I'm going to have you grade St. Luke's on how well we are living out our core values. Our core value of service, our core value of worship, our core value of community, our core value of evangelism, community, stewardship, and discipleship. See, the mnemonic is helpful as we do it. A grade for each one. How well do we do in service? How well do we do in worship? How well do we do in evangelism? You saw that in our announcements for today. We offer opportunities for you to do those things on a regular basis. Discipleship, Molly does a fabulous Bible study on Wednesday nights during the school year. But I was so happy to hear one of our members say, yeah, I printed off that stuff that you put in the blog about Revelations. I've been reading all of it. It's really fascinating. That makes me so happy as a pastor to know some people are studying beyond what they hear just for 15 minutes on a Sunday morning. And if you need a little help, we have the Get to Know St. Luke's, where we talk about our core values of service. They distributed the proceeds to all as any had need. And worship, day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple. And evangelism, having the goodwill of all the people. And community, they broke bread together in their home. Stewardship, all who believed had all things in common. And discipleship, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. And there are opportunities for us to live out our core values in many and various ways through this. So have you graded St. Luke's? A, B, C, D, F. Here comes a harder challenge. Maybe if you've already filled out your welcome card and you've put those grades on the back, you might want to take a different one to be anonymous. How would you grade yourself in living out the core values? How well are you doing in service work, in gathering for worship, in evangelism, in community, in stewardship, and discipleship? You might want to turn that in anonymously. As your pastor, I'd love to see how you're doing. But we are called to worship in spirit and truth. Being a Christian is not only a belief, but it is a way of life. In fact, the early Christians were called the way for how they lived their life out in the community. People knew them by how they lived. These core values are things that we are to embody and live them out in our lives. That's why I love mission trips. We do all 6 of these all the time on our mission trips. Our primary purpose was to go and build homes. We worked on 4 different homes. Mine never got finished. I'm a pastor. Ian did 2 homes. He's in construction. 3. He did 3 homes. Anyway. Okay. You'll hear more about all those projects in the future when the students come back and share the mission trip with you. But so that we did service. And we had worship. We worshiped with St. Luke's Lutheran in the southeast corner of Indianapolis, on the way there and on the way back. And our kids saw a different style of worship. Look at Ian shaking his head. Yeah, it was different. Very rote. Both hymnal and worship book of jumping around. No screen to help. And yeah, it was a task to try to follow. And the second week, one of the guys came up and said, "It's so great that you're here to worship with us. We had a group that was with us last week." Like, yeah, that was us. So we do service, we worship, evangelism, through the work that we did. How many times did you have somebody ask, like, why are you guys doing this? That's crazy that kids from from Minneapolis are traveling all the way to Kentucky to help people they don't know, but people who have needs. But in doing that, we build community. And we had community as we traveled in a 15-passenger van all the way down there. We slept in bunkhouses. We ate together. We worked together. We built community. And kids who didn't know any of the other kids felt like they belonged and are looking forward to future opportunities. And then stewardship. What was the stewardship component? As one of the kids said, "Well, I'm not getting paid for this," when he had struggled with one of the projects and was told to do it again. I said, "No, you're not getting paid for this. You paid to do this." Talk about stewardship. Paying to go and work on someone else's home and all the time that you gave up to do that as well. And discipleship. Every night, we'd close with devotions. We'd share our highs and lows, and we'd talk about how we saw God at work in our project and in the world, and God working through each one of us. It is in our first reading, the book of Revelations, that we hear good news of Jesus. Christopher Rowland, in his commentary, states that the scroll contains the story of judgment. When the question is raised, who is worthy to open it, we read in verse 3, "No one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open or look into it." Here is something that Jesus does that only he can do, and we shouldn't try to. He is the one worthy and able to open the scroll of judgment. What I read into that is that only Jesus has the power to judge. As Jesus said during his Sermon on the Mount, "Judge not, and you will not be judged. Why do you look for the speck in your neighbor's eye when you have a log in your own eye?" We are reminded of this truth every time we recite the Apostles' Creed. He, Jesus, will come again to judge the living and the dead. We are not worthy to bring judgment on anyone, because all we do is make a mess of things. The writer John mourned, but then an elder spoke. "Do not weep. See, the son of the tribe of Judah, the Lion of the tribe of Judah has conquered." But when John looks, you have this conquering lion, and John looks to see him, and what does he see? A lamb that has been slaughtered. Michael Gonzalez writes that Revelation portrays Jesus as both the lion and the lamb. Jesus is identified as the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, who has conquered and is worthy. However, when John looks, he sees a lamb standing as if it had been slain. This depiction highlights Jesus' dual nature, his kingly power and authority as the lion and his sacrificial role as the lamb. The nature of God's power is revealed in the helplessness of Jesus on the cross. God's power is not revealed by being more violent than the violent empires, but through absorbing the violence of the world into Christ's body, and by transforming it into pardon and liberation. Whatever image or picture of power we once believed about God must now take a crucifixion form. Christopher Rowland adds, "The Lamb's role is an active one, where Christ is not a passive victim, but the agent of deliverance. The role results in the formation of a kingdom and priests who will reign on earth." That is what we are called to do, to give a glimpse of heaven on earth. "Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Contrary to what might have been expected of a weak creature with no marks of triumph, only marks of his own slaughter, is the agent of God's purpose. It is Jesus who saves. We are his followers, as witnesses to his acceptance, forgiveness, love, and salvation. We are to be changed by him for the sake of all creation, including one another, even those in society we are encouraged to dismiss or condemn, but we are not to judge. Remember how Jesus met the woman at the well. Paul declared in his first letter to the Corinthians 1:23 and 24, we proclaim Christ crucified, a stumbling block to the Jews and foolishness to the Gentiles. That's everyone else. But to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. Those who would be disciples have to learn what it means to take up the cross and follow. And that is what the core values are all about. Our identity in Jesus demands a costly witness, worshiping in spirit and in truth, through service, worship, evangelism, community, stewardship, and discipleship. Simply what every church should do, and simply what every Christian should do. May we do so in Jesus' name, who stands at the door and knocks to call us out into the world to follow him and invite others to do likewise. Amen.